So I got a 2013 Toyota Highlander. It has the 3.5 V6 engine, and it's time to do some spark plugs on it. This engine has 160,000 miles on it, and looking at it, there's really no witness marks as far as taking off these bolts. And to me, it looks like, and I even took out these front spark plugs and checked them, spark plugs have never been done. One of the reasons why I find that these spark plugs never get done is primarily the labor that they charge for it. So let's talk about that real quick. So to take out the spark plugs for this, you have the front bank and you have the rear. And the rear, in order to change those spark plugs, the intake manifold has to come out. And the intake manifold is usually the reason why most shops typically charge a little extra money on it. It's not hard to take out, but it can be tricky if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know this trick. So to get to this point right over here, what I typically do is I go ahead, I remove the front cover. Once the front cover is out, I take out the top of the air box, take off the boot, and just kind of put these to the side. And I like to take out the throttle body. Two reasons for that. Number one, it allows me to slide this out and give me more room. Number two, it's also a good opportunity to clean your throttle body. So she's going to get a little bit of a cleaning over here, and yeah, just good opportunity to do it. Also, these are 4 10mm bolts. They come right out, and you don't have to take off these lines right over here. So these are your cooler lines. Once you take them out, you're going to leak antifreeze all over the place, and if you're not careful, this will actually drain the system. So you don't have to take these out. As you can see, this slides out right over here. I have plenty of room to clean it and move this out of the way. So now the trick to this is that you have these I believe these are 5s. These are not mistaken. Yeah, these are the 5s, as you can see, and there's 4 over here, 2 over here, 2 over here, and then there's a 10, and then there's a 10mm regular socket that comes right out. Once you take that out, kind of be mindful of your vacuum lines. Just kind of remember where they go. So just take a visual image of that. Once you take those out, another thing you need to take out too is this connector right over here. So make sure you take this connector out. So once you remove that, there's still 2 bolts that hold this intake in place. One is actually on this side right over here, and I'm actually going to give you a better picture of it once I get to that, as I've already taken this out. But there's one right behind the intake right over here, and I'll show you that better in just a second. It's a 12mm. I actually took it out with a ratcheting wrench. Came out pretty easy. The bolts look something like this. The next one is the one that tends to be a bit cumbersome and more aggravating to get out. Now, some people typically what they do is it's right underneath this area over here. There's actually a coil pack underneath, and if you feel for it, you can't get your hand in here because if you look, there's like no room over here. You could get in through the side over here and get your hand through there, but even when you get the swivels, it's just not easy to do. A trick that I do that I found that works really easy is if you look on the passenger side right over here, you see this opening right over here, there's plenty of room to squeeze your hand in, and when you squeeze your hand in, you can actually get to the back of the bolt. Use that 12mm ratcheting wrench, and I recommend using a ratcheting wrench because the bolt is tight all the way out, and you can take the bolt out. So let me go ahead, let's take this intake manifold off real quick, and I'm going to show you exactly the bolt that you're trying to take out. Alright, so now that we've gotten it out, I can actually show you a lot better. So this is the back of the intake manifold right over here. And if you look, you see this bracket right over here. So this hole for this bracket is actually goes bolt on to the valve cover right over here. I'll show you that in just a second. Now there's another one over here that sits on the intake. You can try to just go for this one and you might be able to get it, but it's hard to see it blindly. What I found to do is if you look right back over here, and I can't really get my camera in there, but there's a coil pack right over here, and right behind the coil pack is actually the bolt hole where that 12mm bolt goes into right over there. What I found by going in through this entrance right over here, which you have plenty of space to, you'll see my hand comes through right over here, and once my hand is over there, I could take that 12mm wrench, pop it on, and break the bolt loose, ratchet it out all the way out. This comes off, along with taking off the one on the other side. Now the one on the other side is fairly easy. I mean, you can't see it as good as you would see a typical bolt, but still fairly easy to get to. If you look right over here, you'll see you'll see it right over there, and that's actually where the other bolt is to get it out. So take those two out, this thing comes right out. Now as far as doing your real spark plugs in the rear, what you do next is you got 3 coil packs. They're 10mm bolts. These pop right out, slide them right out. Probably need to take these connectors off. Be mindful of them because those plastic pieces break sometimes depending on how tight or loose they feel. You might need to use a zip tie and kind of zip tie to hold the connector to the coil pack. It's just these wiring harnesses, the plastics break, just degradation just from all the different heat cycles. Once you take these coil packs out, use your spark plug socket, pop them out, and put your new spark plugs in. As far as your spark plugs that you need to use, Denso, Iridium, Long Life, you can get these at the dealers. I priced them at my dealer and they were like $20 a plug. These are the FK20HR11, and the one at the dealership actually will say Toyota on it, and I'm not willing to pay extra money for it to say Toyota. I got these at Advanced Autos. It's the same ones that the dealerships put in, the same number and all that good stuff. And using their ship to home or their buy online thing, you can actually save 20% off. I'm not sponsored by Advanced Auto, but I was able to score these for $8 a plug versus the typical $13 that Advanced charges. Way better than the $15 to $20 that the dealership charges. As far as your front plugs, very simple and straightforward. They're right up here. Take them out, 10mm, same thing, and you're done. Now while you're here, it's actually a good opportunity to inspect your intake manifold gaskets. They're these rubber gaskets. They're actually right on the bottom. You can actually see a little tab of one sticking them out. What I typically do is you can reuse them. I will take them out, do this a few times and see if they kind of break. These still feel rubbery and pliable, so I could reuse them, but they're fairly cheap. I got them on Amazon, the Felpro ones, or I think it was the Beck Arnley. I got the Beck Arnley ones, and they were $12 for the set. Quick, cheap, easy maintenance. You're right there. It's a good time to it's a good time to change them out. Also, if you look underneath these, if you see that it's protruding and it's still fluffy, you could also reuse them, but we're just gonna change them out since we're here. As far as putting this back in, this slides right back in. Get that bolt in, slide right over here, feed the bolt with your hand. Might be a little tricky. If it falls, it's probably gonna get stuck on that little shield underneath, so you just have to go back and forth and fish it out. But once you do that, you're done, and this job is pretty simple. And another final thing that I recommend changing since you're here and you're doing this lovely surface is your Pcv valve, which is right over here. Now the Pcv valve is a 19mm wrench. You can go ahead, take this out, and this comes out really easy, very simple. Now you can use a socket for this, but I have the wrench and this works. Once you loosen it a good amount, it comes out mostly by hand. It should. There we go. You can change out your Pcv valve. For your Pcv valves, OEM. Amazon has them. They're about, I think it's $15 to $20. I'll put a link below. Use OEM. I've used aftermarket ones, and I've actually had issues. Key with the Pcv valve is if it's still making that ratcheting noise, it's still good. But considering this has 160,000 miles, it's the most neglected maintenance item in any vehicle, and I've seen so many misdiagnoses just because of this valve getting stuck. Go ahead and change it. Quick, easy, and great peace of mind. So hope this video helps and these tips makes this job a little easier for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see what we fix next.